Hey, welcome back. How you doing? It's Louisa from Feel Good Astrology, welcoming you to another show. I've got my producer in the background waving at me for some reason. Is something wrong?
No, nothing at all. I'm going to go.
Oh, he's just trying to distract me. I noticed when he asked if I wanted a cup of tea, he gave me the Disneyland Carl mug, his mug from childhood. I think he's just trying to own me. So anyway, how are you doing? What's new? What's changed for you in the last day or two? Wow, these are interesting times indeed. So what I'm going to be looking at today, and hopefully having a bit of a chin wag with you in the chat room, having a bit of a laugh, is how to create your eclipse plan, because we've got the Total Solar Eclipse coming up on Thursday. I'm getting messages coming in, which is lovely. Let me know where you're listening in from and who you are as well. So I've got a big hello. Hi, Louisa. Hi, Carl from Penny Albertella in Devon, UK. We've got Colleen Murphy joining us from the US. Got Shannon joining us from Texas today. Hey, y'all. Oh, thank you so much for coming back. It's so nice. So we're getting ready. We've got this eclipse coming on Thursday, and then we've got Mercury retrograde starting on Friday. Tomorrow's show is going to be about Mercury retrograde and 3 tips for surviving it. Lots of people have a negative idea about Mercury retrograde, so I'm probably going to link in a little bit of what's going on with the eclipse in with the retrograde as well. I always think it's quite good to have a bit of a plan. It's a point where we can really start to, I don't know, put some intentions out there. I'm guessing everyone that's watching right now has got a few intentions up their sleeve or has used intentions before. Let us know what you're thinking about. You know, what intentions are really appealing to you right now. Anyway, before we go any further, let's just have a look at tomorrow's forecast before I forget. And then whilst that's happening, I'm going to be playing with these Bach Flower Remedy cards and coming up with something meaningful for you, hopefully. So let's bring on this update now. Hey, so for the 19th then, that's Wednesday, the 19th of April, we're feeling sensitive. You know, the eclipse is coming. The moon is getting into an alignment with the planets just before the eclipse. If you remember, the eclipse is actually happening on Thursday morning at early doors, like 5:16 a.m. So we've got this conjunction between the moon and Chiron, and then later still we've got moon in a conjunction with Jupiter. It's picking up on the themes from March, you know, where Chiron and Jupiter got together, where it made us feel kind of sore, where some of our core hurts came up, you know, where we got really I don't know, maybe a bit desolate and a bit despondent. You know, it really brought something up for us. And so we're getting a bit of a reminder of that, but a month on, you know, so it's not, you're not in the full rawness of it. If you can remember what was going on for you in March, you know, where you may well have not felt yourself and maybe needed a bit of time to come to terms with, maybe where you don't quite feel that much mastery in life and where you feel very sensitive and very exposed. It's that feeling of exposure. It's coming back. But what I like about this, at the same time, we've also got the flow of Saturn in a sextile with the North Node. To me, that's a real indication that we have actually learned something and we're starting to put that learning into practice. You know, it could just be that the learning that you're putting into practice is that I don't like this person in my life and I'm going to put up some boundaries, and that's completely fine. So I think what's really going on the 19th is a reminder, you know, that whatever we've learned, we need to actually practice it. We need to master it. We need to embrace it. You know, some situations don't heal quite as readily as we would like. And what we need to do is just do the next best thing and also focus on how we can feel good in spite of what is. So that's my update for the 19th. We'll be talking shortly in terms of preparation for the eclipse. So I hope this is helpful. So there you go. There's some thoughts. Now, I've got the very cheeky Facebook user. I suspect that's my husband, Carl, in the background asking, what about Uranus? He just loves it. He loves talking about me having a transit in my anus. I don't know. I need to talk to some other astrologers to find out if they get this kind of heckling from their other halves about Uranus. Who knows? Anyway, we've got Sarah Taylor coming in here saying, I'm seeing a lot of old life lessons coming back into the present and eureka moments of how everything is related to what is going on now. Almost a culmination of sorts. I wonder if this relates to the eclipse. I imagine it does, for sure. And yeah, thank you for sharing that. I've got the Iberian FM phone in. And this is actually my husband. He's saying, actually, that is not me. So somebody is asking about my Uranus, about Uranus even. Not sure who it is. Facebook user, reveal yourself. I'd love to welcome you in. Anyway, aside from funny named planets, these are the two cards I picked from the Bach Flower Remedies. And it's funny that it fits perfectly in with what Sarah Taylor was saying in terms of old life lessons coming back into the present. Because the first card I picked, which you can see, it's Serrato, and it's I accept my responsibility for my own life. I trust my own voice, which if if you are going over all these old life lessons and they're coming back and you're having these eureka moments, then that's a really potent card. And then the other one is for being overly sensitive, and it's Century. And it's for people who are experiencing exaggerated kind-heartedness and the oversensitivity. And obviously that comes up a lot around the time of the eclipse. Yeah, very immature. And Sarah's saying, holy shit. I think that's probably because the card. Oh, is it about the card that I picked and how spot on it is, or about the planet naming? Who knows? Anyway, let's have a look now at what we can do to create a sense of using the energies of the planets. I really think it's quite good. In fact, just before I go there, I've got something from Shannon saying, I had to really pare back my goals in March. Instead of a daily goal list, it turned into a weekly one and almost a monthly one. That's I really like that, actually. I think when we create things for ourselves that are so imposing that they're almost torturous, we're like using spirituality or using metaphysics to beat ourselves with. And I really don't advocate for that. I think loving kindness is by far the best way. So I absolutely love that you've pared that back, Shannon. And may I suggest that, it might be, as in the case for Sarah, and also in you paring back, that what you intend for is the clearing of these old goals, or the clearing and the reconciliation, or the ending, I don't know, some form of summing it all up. Anyway, last comment before I just have a quick look at, actually, there's more coming in, so it's good. Woke up this morning feeling very oppressive energy pushing on me. I'm hearing that from a lot of people right now. I really am, Shannon, and I really hear you on that. And I'd be really interested to hear how you cleared that energy. What did you do that enabled you to carry on with your day? Penny sharing, my goal is to continue and deepen my spiritual development, working on soul contracts. I think that's beautiful. And this might really speak to you. So let's have a look now then. So in terms of creating an eclipse plan, now I've been a bit cheeky and I copied something called How to Set an Intention, because I thought, why recreate the wheel when so many people have already spent time and effort in putting a blog piece together. So this one came from www.mindfulnessbox.com. But there are loads of other similar places that you could go to, not to diminish what they've done with these useful steps. And I had a look through a few today, but this one was the one that really spoke to me because it was like point, rather than lots of big old paragraphs. So what I would do in terms of creating an eclipse plan, I think there's two things that we can do. Three things. So the first one is to consider what it is that you would really like to bring into your life. Like, what would you like to make familiar to your experience in your life right now? So I realize I should have thought about this for me, actually. I haven't. I'm always so like on the go and working with people that I always forget to do my own. But what would I like to manifest? I don't know. I think I might come back to you, but have a think about what you'd like to manifest or heal, or both, because like your manifestation might be involved in healing. So that's the first thing. Then you want, and that is a little bit like decide what you want to do and work backwards. The second step, now I don't necessarily say write it down. Some people, they like to write their intentions. I prefer to draw mine. I like to draw diagrams and pictures and just kind of scribble whilst thinking about what it is that I'm wanting to bring in. Some people who work with symbols or Wicca, for instance, they might create a sigil. But that's a whole nother story, and I'm not Wiccan, so I can't speak of it from their traditions. Number 3, dream big. Now, I like this as a Sagittarian who likes to go a bit crazy. And like Shannon from Texas is saying, I dreamt really big, and then I had to pare it back. So size it in the way that works for you. Now, one thing that they haven't put on is they haven't put any sense of timing in. I usually like to say something, if I have a intentional statement, I usually put it in an I. I am choosing to enjoy my life. I'm choosing to see the positives in blah, 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 blah. And you might want to put something in like right now. So for instance, something that I am saying at the moment, I am looking at not so much manifesting, but healing my eyes. I've been noticing that my eyes haven't been as focused as usual. And obviously I talk in terms of visual language all day long because I do readings and I'm talking about what I'm seeing. Oh, I'm seeing this and blah, blah, blah. So, for my sight to be feeling a little bit foggy in the distance, I've been saying, I command my immune system, I command both my eyes to heal, to reset to their usual perfect, healed and whole original blueprint. And I command that this happens now. I enjoy seeing into the now. I enjoy looking at what is. I also enjoy seeing things into the future. So, not only will I have a statement, but I will kind of build a picture around it. So, that's probably where the dream big comes in. Don't limit yourself, but do try and keep time. She has mentioned, or he has mentioned, time constraints. So I've put in right now. This can happen right now, from now, and to receive it now. And allow your mind to sort of like percolate that at the back of, in your unconscious mind. Now, they've mentioned visualize yourself achieving your intention. Now, I've put in use your senses. I'm trained in NLP and hypnosis and timeline therapy. And so using your senses, and I know Penny here is, I hope you don't mind me revealing that I know Penny is as well. In terms of using your senses, you're creating that sensation. You're making it very real to your body, and whatever you can imagine with absolute creativity and passion, as if it's there when you feel it in your mind body system, and especially if you can expand it out using your senses. So I was talking in very visual terms there about what I wanted to create, or what I'm creating right now, to put it into present tense. I often then imagine hearing the sounds that I might hear while I'm looking at the distance, or hearing, me saying to myself, wow, my eyesight is so amazing. I can't believe I didn't trust it, and then feeling the sensation of satisfaction. And you can obviously play around with your senses, but the more you do that, the better it gets. So that's the first thing that I would really do, is consider what you'd like to manifest or heal. Now, there is a theme around this eclipse. So, for instance, this eclipse is starting in the sign of Aries and going into the sign of Taurus. Now, Aries is very much about our identity, and it's about me, not you. It's me. And it's also very much going into a place of value for yourself. When it goes into the sign of Taurus, when the moon moves into the sign of Taurus and the sun straight after. So there is this, how am I and my identity, how am I creating value is something that I would really consider putting into your intention if if you've already thought about it. Now, the next step is to add in some astrology. And just before I do that, I'm just going to see I've got some more comments coming in. So, okay. So Sarah's adding in, yes, the cards and, oh, you were laughing at the cards, and I agree. It does feel like closure and understanding. That's great. Thank you for that. Gillian saying evening from Scotland. Thank you for the smiley face. Saying from Scotland, doing a bit of speed up catch up as a teeny bit late joining. That's fine. You can come whenever you want. And I'm so delighted that you're here. It's great. Shannon saying had a triple espresso Starbucks and some retail therapy at the garden shop with Cora. That's her lovely granddaughter. So I'm guessing that's how you came back into your senses then, Shannon. Well done. Penny is saying, love using senses to manifest. So that is definitely the way of doing it. Hello, lovely, from Scotland. So Gillian's contacting me across different platforms. That's lovely. Love the whole eclipse plan thing. That's great. Oh, and Jay's here as well, Jay Atkinson, who I know, if you're okay with me sharing this, Jay, it's Jay's birthday actually on the day of the eclipse. And so I'm hoping to have a look at that for her, and love the whole eclipse plan thing. Okay, so let's get back to how we can add in some astrology. So the first thing was get clear about what it is we want to focus on or manifest. And then the next thing, and this is if you've already looked at your birth chart and you understand how to do it. Now, I have actually put in, I've done some videos in the past called Learn Astrology Easily. And if you need these, I can probably direct you to them, but I can't locate them right now because I can't remember where they are or which YouTube channel they're on. I really have no idea. But if you need that advice, I can probably help you. But what I would absolutely recommend that you do, if you don't know your chart off by heart, or, if you don't have it in front of you, if you can't visualize it. I mean, I know some of you, I've done your charts for you. So just have a look at the images I've sent you. But you can draw up your chart. You can go to www.astro.com. And I always use astro.com in these images. These are all from astro.com because it's free. And I like to use these images because if people want to follow along, they can do that without actually needing to invest anything. And it's really, really simple, very easy to use. So you draw up your chart, and then what you need to do is find out where 29 degrees of Aries is in your chart. Like which house is 29 Aries in. So here's an example of how to do it. So first of all, you need to look for the symbol of Aries, which is here. And it would have been helpful if I'd had pre-thought to highlight it somehow, and I didn't. But this is Aries, so it looks like a V with curves on. It's like a bird in flight, and it's red. And then the very next sign is Taurus. That's how you know you've got the right one. Taurus looks like a bull, and it's green. And 29 degrees of Aries is literally just before this line. In between Aries and Taurus. And you'll know it because you can, if you press, when you're looking at your charts, there's this button that you can press, which says something like add transits or see transits. And if you press that, it will show where the current position of the sun is, and the current position of the sun is right at the end of Aries. So that's the first thing you need to do is which house is Aries in, or 29 degrees of Aries. And the houses are these wedges here. Now, astrologers like this is the first part. This is like the this is your entrance into the world, the ascendant. And then you've got your first house, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, all the way around to 12th. So in this case, this person's, the eclipse is falling in this person's 10th house. And that's what you need to do, is identify which house it follows in. Now, if you're competent with astrology, I would recommend that you go one step further, and that is to see if you've got any planets that are feeding into this pattern. So for instance, if you've got a planet in your birth chart here at 28 or 29 degrees, or maybe even 1 or 2 degrees of the following sign. So you might choose to look to see if you've got anything at 28, 29 degrees in the sign of Aries, Libra, Cancer, or Capricorn, if you do, then this total eclipse is going to be really quite vigorous for you, and it could bring about a lot of personal change. If you've got something around 28 or 29 degrees in the fire signs, so of Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, I do. In fact, my sun is right here, and my Mercury, which creates a lovely triangular aspect or angle between them. Then if you've got them in the fire signs, this is giving you an opportunity to really grow and spark something new. So if you've got your sun or something really strong here, like I know Jay, who's listening, Jay has, then what's actually happening is you've got not only something quite catalyzing, but something that can really spark a new way of living. But anyway, in terms of this person's chart, the solar eclipse is falling into their 10th house, and the 10th house is very much about where they want to. It's like their destiny. It's like, where are they going? It's also very much about their career. It is about how they're recognized, the kinds of gratitude that comes their way. What kind of reputation do they have? So all of these themes are really supported by the solar eclipse. So for instance, if this person, and I'm going to communicate this with them after because they've asked me to have a check it out for them. I will say, this is an opportunity for you to work on your reputation, to move your career up a notch. It's a time to launch something. It's a time to be high profile. If it's in your 10th house, this is really like a go, go, go kind of signal. It's very, very beneficial for them. Let's have a look at another chart. And then I'm going to have a look at Jay's chart. So in this chart, let's find where Aries is. Can you see it yet? Here it is, like a bird in flight in red. And then here's Taurus, and we're looking at this little spot in between the two. This person's chart, this person is also listening. This person's experiencing the eclipse through the 9th house. So the 9th house is about higher belief systems. It's about spirituality. It's about publishing, writing, releasing information. It's about programming. It's also very much about politics, creating a higher context for things. So for this person's chart, and just to give you a few hints, it might be my husband. This is a really good solar eclipse for him to really to move his message out there. This eclipse has got a really strong programming for foreign information, for launching things outside of his usual context. So it's very much not at home. It's very much away, and it's higher context. So it's quite nice to see that. That's quite good. And if I just check to see if he's got anything at 28, 29 degrees, he doesn't. He does have his moon here at 3 degrees in the sign of Scorpio, which is almost, well, it is actually in opposition to this solar eclipse. So it's really going to activate his emotions. Bit worried about it because he's picking up my parents from the airport tomorrow. It's quite a big day for him. So here's just some keywords as to the houses. So once you've identified, and you can always come back here, you can whiz back the video. But once you've identified where Aries is in your birth chart, in this chart, the eclipse sits just in between Aries and Taurus, 28. This person has actually got Chiron and Mars on this spot where the eclipse is taking place. So this person is going to be really quite I'm just trying to think whose chart it is. I'll have to have a think about it and let them know. But this is somebody who's probably struggling a little bit at the moment. Chiron is very much about healing our old wounds, and then Mars is here, sort of adding salt into it. So this eclipse could be very, very clearing, but almost like having a salt flush, to clear out your intestines. You take it, and then all of a sudden it's like whoosh, a mass evacuation, to use Uranus jokes. Anyway, and for this person, it's happening in their eighth house. The eighth house is about other people's values of me. Now, I've really kind of just put a couple of keywords in. These might not be the words that you would use to describe the houses, but the houses really do carry a lot of context. So I'm going to talk around this very quickly. But so this is the polarity of me versus you, the first and seventh house. And if 29 degrees Aries falls in here for you or over there, then it's either in the first or the seventh house. This is the first, that's the seventh. So if it's in the first, it's very much about your identity, your image, being in your actual skin and your boundaries. If it's about the seventh house, it's about everyone outside. It's like you. It's like all of your relationships. But remember, everyone that's outside of yourself is essentially a projection. You're projecting onto them the whole time. So you could have a massive breakthrough in terms of how you're seeing people. In the second house and the eighth houses, it's about my worth versus other people's worth. So the second house is notoriously named as the place of our earnings, but it goes a bit deeper than this. In fact, this person's chart is absolutely super sensitive to this because they've got their Uranus. There we go, Uranus. There you go, Carl, if you're listening, in opposition to Chiron and Mars, and they've got the solar eclipse right over this. This is very, very sensitive for them. And it's very much like this person, I'm really feeling for them now, actually. They've got things going on at the moment about their feelings of self-worth. How much am I worth? What's going on in my career right now? You know, how do I earn more money? And they've got Uranus there really saying that actually when they're more free, when they've got more freedom and independence to work, things tend to go so much better for them. You know, I could see them, you know, having their own job, you know, having their own business. And so this has been really activated. Other people's values. The eighth house is known as being a place of death and dying and other people's money and tax, because tax is other people's money effectively. But it's also how other people see you. So it's also a place of other people's projections onto you. It's coming back to you. So this is a really sensitive one. The third and ninth houses, then the third is very much about what's familiar, what you've already learnt. So it's very much about your normal ecosystem, your normal environment, your community, and early school. In the ninth house, where it is for Carl, my husband, it's kind of unfamiliar, it's foreign, it's not your usual context. It's you're further afield, you're still learning, and you're learning much bigger things. It's much grander. So those are the themes going on if you've got the third and ninth polarity. For the fourth and 10th, the fourth is very much about family and home. So if you've got it here, you'll be thinking in terms of how can you change the way you are at home and how can you implement new things. It might even signify that it's time to move. You know, you're really starting to feel that. If it's in the 10th, like it was for our first person, then there's a lot going on about career and recognition, which is what I actually shared with them. Fifth and the 11th, then, it's what we birth and what we co-create. So the fifth house is very much about our creation. So it's our children. It's also our hobbies, our pets. It's the things that we absolutely put our heart and soul into. It's a very, very creative place, and artists and designers tend to have a lot around here. And the 11th house is what we're co-creating. It's about networks, friendships, and all the things we're really passionate about that we do with other people. In the 6th and the 12th, then we've got physical health and mental health. So here is very much about our day-to-day organization and our physical health. How well are we? You know, you might be wanting some health principles, and over here we've got mental health and what we're private about. It's a very, very psychic part of our chart. It's very much about the unconscious mind. So anyway, I'm going to speak to my friend Jay offline. So Jay, if you're listening, can you stay on? And I'll send you a link and I'll have a look at your chart in private, I think, because I'm running out of time right now. But anyway, I hope that has been helpful. So what I would absolutely recommend is, according to where you find your 29 degrees Aries, and you've identified the house, you flick back on this video just to get the keywords, or you can just go to Google and say, tell me, or go to your favorite AI generator and tell me about the 5th house in astrology. Tell me about the 10th house in astrology. And then what you might want to do is merge the two. Where is your first intention and how can you blend it with this new one? And then at the time of the eclipse, or even just before you go to bed tomorrow night, write them down, focus on it, imagine it, and allow the magic of these times to bring it into reality. Anyway, I hope that was helpful for today. I really, really do. And I look forward to connecting with you again. Tomorrow, I'm going to be talking about Mercury retrograde and how this really ties into this eclipse. If you want more detailed information about the eclipse, I did also record something yesterday called Clash of the Goddesses. So that's also on this channel. Anyway, a few more comments and then I'm going to roll the outros. So, Jay saying yes. Penny saying, sorry, I got waylaid. Is this the chart? Is this chart a snapshot of today or their chart at birth? You want to look at your birth chart. And so all of those charts I looked at, Penny, were somebody's birth charts, their clients' birth charts, loved ones' birth charts, just to see where 29 degrees of Aries is in their charts. And I can probably help you with that if you need a bit of guidance. So Jay's going to stay on. That's great. The Global Nobles are saying, this is beautiful. Thank you, Louisa. Well, thank you. It's so lovely that you're joining me. I didn't know you're interested in astrology, but if you want to know more, then just check out my other videos and we can connect as well. And Sarah saying, are the transits on astro.com at the moment the same as the eclipse? They're not. And that's a good point. What you can do, if you're using astro.com, if you go to the extended settings, it will give you dates that you can set. So I would move on 2 days. However, we're only a day and a half away from the eclipse. So wherever that sun shows up, that's pretty much just a degree or two away from it. But a really, really good point. Thank you for sharing that. The website you shared with us, is the current transit the same as the eclipse info? Yeah, it's almost there. I think I already set it to I set it for the 20th, so it was already there. When you set it for the 20th, Sarah, it always does it for midnight and the actual eclipse happens 4 hours later. I think in my video earlier I said it was 5:16, but it's actually at 4:16 local time to Lisbon and London. If you want to find where it is for you, just go to timeanddate.com and look up under the sun and moon tab for eclipses and you'll find it. So anyway, I'm going to leave that there. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Remember, if you need any extra help, then just pop things in the comments. And when I get to them, I will offer you a little bit of assistance. But thank you once again, and hopefully I'll see you real soon. Bye for now.